Hello students, this video is based on CBSE Class 12 English Core Flamingo-Poem number 2, an elementary school classroom in a slum. The poem is penned by one of the prominent figures of English literature, Stephen Spender. In this poem, Spender highlights the physical, mental, and social conditions of the children of an elementary school classroom situated in a slum. Brief introduction about the poet. Stephen Spender. He had a lifespan from 1909 to 1995. He was a prominent English poet, essayist, and novelist who concentrated on the themes of social injustice and the class struggle in his work. As it is written here that the poet concentrated on the themes of social injustice and the class struggle in his work. That means most of his works were based on this particular theme. And this poem, An Elementary School Classroom, is not an exception. Some of his major work include Ruins and Visions, Poems of Dedication, The Edge of Being, Collected Poems, Selected Poems, The Generous Days, and Dolphins. Poem theme or the central idea. As already discussed, the theme of the poem is social injustice and class inequality. And while dealing with this particular theme, the poet at the same time discusses various issues, like the poet questions the value of education. The kind of education provided to these children, these people, is not enough, it is not adequate. According to the poet, this education doesn't help them to uplift their social, mental, and cultural status in the society. This doesn't help them to join the mainstream of the society. Similarly, the poet attacks on the capitalistic economy. Capitalistic economy, where there is a wide gap between the rich people and the poor ones. The rich become richer and the poor poorer. The poet also focuses on the physical and social pathetic condition of these children. We learn through this poem that most of these children are often ill-fed. They suffer from various diseases and deficiencies of various types. And we also learn that these children are deprived of basic needs, the things that are required for survival. Quite pathetically, these people are unable, these children are unable, their parents are unable to provide such basic needs to these children. And in this way, the slum areas in which they live is a place full of unhygienic condition where human beings cannot live. The poet highlights the role of educators and privileged ones. So in one hand, the poet tries to draw our attention towards the plight of such children, such poor children, such children belonging to poor families, or such children who live in areas like slums, that what can be done by the educators and privileged ones, what role we can play, or the so-called well-off people, or the so-called caretakers of the society can do for these children. That means we should come forward to help these children by providing them equal opportunities and good education. In this way, the poet demands equal opportunity for education. Poetic form. The poetic form of this poem is simple, elegant style, but the poet makes use of several lot of poetic devices and images. With the gradual development in the poem, we'll learn that the poet uses various poetic devices like simile, metaphor, imagery, symbols, etc. Let us have a brief idea of the background of the poem. Written in 1964, the poem is an example of Spender's political voice resonating in this poem. He expresses his ideological position on government, economy, and education. Spender names no nation or race. This is the chief feature of this poem, that although he discusses about the poor children of slum areas, he describes their condition, but while doing so he doesn't mention any name of any nation. So it poignantly deals with the universal problem of social injustice and class inequality prevalent across the globe. So this problem was one of the major issues during that period, the period or the time followed by World War I and World War II, and this had relevance during Spender's time, but this has relevance even today. Here is the complete poem. An elementary school classroom in a slum. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim glass, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game in tree room other than this. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome reciting all cities, belt, flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, they were, where all their future is painted with fog. A narrow street sealed in with the lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Surely Shakespeare was wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass, the bottle bits on a stone. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Unless governors, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs break open till they break the town and show the children to green fields and make their world run azure on gold sand, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. History theirs, whose language is the sun. So this is the complete poem. Now we'll have understanding for each stanza. Far, far from gusty waves these children's faces. In the beginning of the poet itself, the poet makes a comparison of these children. These children means the children of slum areas. These children the children of elementary school classroom that is situated in a slum area. According to the poet, their personality, their expression, their gesture is completely far, totally different from gusty waves. The literal meaning of gusty waves is powerful wind, energetic wind. Figuratively, gusty waves means the children belonging to well-off families who are energetic, cheerful, and they are completely in contrast with these children of slum areas. Like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the poet tells us that how unkempt, untidy, unorganized, unwanted life these children lead. Their pallor, the dull face, their face is always dull. There is no glimpse of happiness. There is no glimpse of cheerfulness on their face. They are sad. They are upset. They feel all the time humiliated or insulted due to the poverty, due to the social and all sorts of exploitation to which they are victims of. So, like rootless weeds, their existence is like rootless weeds. Rootless weeds. Weeds are unwanted. Weeds that grow on their own. So, according to the poet, these children, these people of slum area lead such kind of existence. One by one, the poet comments on the students present in the class. The tall girl with her weighed down head. There is a girl in the class with her weighed down. Tall girl, tall. The poet here has used a word tall to describe the girl. Tall, we all know the meaning of tall, having a good height. But sometimes these poor children who do not get enough food, who are often ill-fed, they suffer from malnourishment. They also sometimes look tall due to their physical weakness. So there is the tall girl in the classroom and she is unable to keep her head high. Why? Maybe because she feels ashamed, she feels burdened, she feels ashamed of her poverty and the social burden that has been imposed upon her. So this description is quite pathetically done, and by doing this, the poet is trying to sensitize us towards the problems of these people, these children. Childhood is a phase that is considered for enjoyment, and that is known for innocence, total freedom, unrestricted freedom. So, but unfortunately, these children are unable to lead such kind of childhood. Then there is one another boy, the paper seaming boy. The boy is paper seaming, looking like paper, means thin like paper sheet. Again, the poet is commenting upon the physical ill health. The paper seaming boy with rat's eyes. Rat's eyes. Rats, if we have observed, rat's eyes are always bulging, and the rat always appears greedy in search of food. So such kind of life these children are leading. There is one another boy who, according to the poet, is the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his test. There is a boy who is stunted, means whose physical development is hampered, is the growth is not taking place because of he is considered unlucky. He is an unlucky heir, successor, inheritor, because instead of inheriting his father's property or anything that is, for example, wealth or property or riches, he actually, quite unfortunately, has inherited the twisted bone disease from his father. In this way, we learn that his father also suffers from gnarled disease. Gnarled disease means the knotted disease. Which disease? The disease of twisted bones. So, according to the poet, it seems that this boy with his stunted growth is not only reciting the lesson sitting up at his desk, but also reciting the disease that he has inherited from his father. So, afterwards, the poet finds a boy, one another boy, at back of the dim class. The classroom environment is not cheerful. It is dull. It is gloomy. The class is dim. Certainly not favorable for learning. So, at back of the dim class, there is one unnoted, one unobserved boy is there, who is comparatively younger than all the rest of the students. He is sweet and young. So far, the poet has not used all these positive words to describe the expressions present on the faces of the children, but this is still present. This is innocence, this sweetness and youth is still present on the face of this particular unnoted boy. It seems to the poet that his eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game. He is engrossed in his own world. The classroom environment is not at all liked by him, it seems, and it seems the kind of smile he has on his face suggests that he is lost in some dream about a squirrel's game. A squirrel's game is here just given for an example. That's any activity that is more cheerful, more pleasant than this class. The activity, the boring activity going inside this dull classroom of the school situated in a slum area. So his eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So he is not at all interested. He is dreaming of some other much pleasant situation. So in this way, we can say that this young boy, this small boy, has not so far faced the harsh realities of life, and if things do not change, very soon his smile, the sweetness will disappear from his face too, just like the other ones. Stanza 2. In this stanza, the poet describes the classroom conditions. The poet describes the classroom environment and the things that have been put up on the walls of the classroom. And while doing so, the poet is compelling us to think what relevance, what kind of meaning these things have in the life of these children who lead their life in slum areas in which they are victims to social injustice and perpetual poverty that never comes to an end. On sour cream walls donations. There are donations, gifts given by different NGOs and other social groups in the form of donations are put upon the wall. The most important expression is here is on sour cream walls. By sour cream walls, the picture that comes in mind is that the walls of the classroom are of sour cream, the color, the dirty pale color. This may suggest that how neglected the classroom is, that for maybe for years the whitewash has not been done, it has not been painted. Anyways, what are the things kept on the wall? Shakespeare's head. There is a portrait of Shakespeare, there is a picture of Shakespeare. There is a scenery, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities, belt flowery, Tyrolese valley. So let me tell you what are the things there. Shakespeare's portrait and a scenery, a nature scenery that shows the sky, morning sky, the cloudless morning sky in which the sun is rising in a semicircle shape, the sun that is present in all the cities, civilized dome riding all cities. This expression refers to the rising sun, half risen sun, visible in almost all cities. So such a beautiful scenery. According to the poet, the children are, what is the reality? The children of the slum areas are not even having access to the rich bounty of nature. Forget about wealth, money, prosperity. They do not even have access to pollution-free environment. So there is a picture of such a beautiful world of nature. Then there is another picture of the famous Tyrolese valley of Austria that is full with churches and flowers. There is one other thing, open-handed map, avoiding the world its world. There is a world map. Why open-handed? Because freely made in an unrestricted manner by the so-called cartographers of the world, the geographers. No, and there is a world map telling the people. A map tells the people about the world in which they live. So, and yet, although there is a world map, but still for these children, these windows, not this map, their world where all their future is painted with fog. According to the poet, that world map that is hung on the wall has no relevance, is meaningless for these children. Why? Because there is the slum area in which they live is not at all mentioned in the world map. So, in other words, we may say maps. No, if we deeply think, a map can be considered as a window. And when we look at this window, we can have the view of the world, the various places present outside. Yet for these children, these windows refer to the windows of the elementary school classroom, not this map. Their world. According to the poet, in reality, the world map has no relation with the world in which these children live. Their world is limited to what they see through the windows of the classroom. And what do they see? The heap of garbage, slum area, in which all their future, not only their present, but their future is also painted with the fog. That means there is darkness all the time. So far, there is no sense of hope. Further, the poet tells us more about the place where these poor children live. It is a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. Lead sky expression suggests the environment full of pollutant. So, the place in which they live is a narrow street, restricted with a lead sky. So finally the poet says, far, far from rivers, that their world, the world of the life of these children is totally different from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Which rivers, capes, and stars of words are referred here? The rivers and capes present in the sceneries that are hung on the walls. Stars of words means stars, great figure of literature. Stars of words like Shakespeare. Shakespeare tells the world about love and royalty and rich bounty of nature. But do these children have any access to such a world demonstrated or symbolized through the things or the donations that are kept on the wall? Definitely no. Stanza 3rd. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. In this sense, the poet says that definitely Shakespeare, the example of Shakespeare is a wicked idea is a bad example, evil. Map also, the world map also that is hanged is a bad example for these children. Why? What is the purpose of putting up different articles on the walls of a classroom? So that the children, the students get motivated. They never feel motivated. They feel sad. They feel tempted. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. The things shown by all these donations kept on the wall, like the ships and sun and love, symbolized ships and sun and love, represented through all the donations hung on the wall. Instead of motivating them, urge them to steal or to do something wrong against the society. So surely these are a bad example. Shakespeare is wicked, map a bad example for the people, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes. No, trickily turn in their cramped holes. Cramped holes here refer to the congested and dingy area of slum where that is their world and where they live. In what way? From fog to endless night, from one darkness to other darkness. So their world is bleak. There is no enlightenment present in their life. Further, the poet says, on their slag heap, these children wear skins paved through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. With this, all these imagery, the poet brings out the grim poverty present in the lives of these children. They are so poor that they wear repaired spectacles or glasses with a steel frame, with repaired glass. The repaired glass appears like pieces of bottle on stones, and they are physically they are so much weak that there is no flesh in their body. There is no flesh between their bones and skin. It seems that their skin, without having flesh under it, looks like a loose clothes. So such a kind of existence these children are having. All of their time and space are foggy slum. Time and space means life and space means place. Their life, their space. What is their space? The slum area in which they live. So all of their time and space are foggy slum, nothing else. Dark slum. At present, if nothing is done. The poet is trying to sensitize the readers. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. According to the poet, the slum areas are gradually increasing, like doom, hell, a bad place, blot. In other words, we may say the poet is challenging. Come on, all who are responsible for making the world map. Come on, will you like to blot your world maps by mentioning these slums that are as big as Doom? Definitely not. Stanza 4. There is a slight difference in stanza 4 that one should observe, that in the first 3 stanza we notice that the tone of the poet is extremely pessimistic. There is a pensive tone in the poet's voice. But in this particular stanza, the last stanza, the poet develops an optimistic tone. The poet becomes hopeful. The poet makes an appeal to all the so-called caretakers of the society who have the responsibilities of improving the conditions of such people. The poet says, the poet addresses the governor, inspector, visitor. The poet says, "Hey governor, inspector and visitor, unless this map becomes their window and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs, break open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open, history theirs, whose language is the sun." The poet is urging the bureaucrats, the inspectors, the members of the NGOs, and all the social workers and visitors who go to such places time and again for charity work. The poet says that such occasional charity is not sufficient. The poet says that what is the need that this world map that is hung on the wall of this classroom, unless this becomes their world, and these windows that show them the slum area in which presently they live, that slum area that shut upon their lives like catacomb, that doesn't allow, that restricts their life, just like catacombs. Catacombs are death chambers where dead bodies are buried. Dead bodies cannot come out of it. So slums have been compared with catacombs by the poet. What is the need? To take these children, put an end to the life of slum. So the poet says that unless this map becomes their window and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs, break open, should be broken. These restrictions must be broken till they break the town. Before they break the town or they get engaged in antisocial activities. So what is the need? This is the high time to show the children to green fields, to provide these children opportunities to enjoy the green fields or to enjoy the rich bounty of nature and make their world. And such efforts should be made, such measures should be taken that these people also live their life freely and cheerfully in the world under the blue sky, and make their world run azure, run under the beautiful blue sky on the gold sands. Overall, the poet wants to say that we should provide such opportunities to these people, these children, that they also like other children belonging to well-off families, also enjoy the nature. And then the poet talks about education, the right kind of education, and let their tongues run naked into books. Naked into books, here suggests unrestricted, freely. Means we should provide them good, ample opportunities of education, to have good education, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. The poet wants us that we should endeavor to provide them not only institutional education, but we should also provide them access to the rich bounty of nature. The last line is a striking one. The poet says, history theirs whose language is the sun. Sun symbolizes enlightenment, strength, power. Those people who are endowed with the attributes of enlightenment and power, they can only create histories. So this is the need that empowerment of these children is to be done. So this is the explanation of the entire poem. In my next video, we'll learn about the figures of speech employed by the poet in different stanzas. Along with this, there will be analysis on some of the important NCERT questions and other important questions. Thank you so much.